Hi, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear us. My name is Ian Greaves. I'm from ErisX. I'm the head of product here. And we have Josh on from Capitalise, who will be kicking it off in a minute with his part. Josh, we're ready to go?
Yep, we're ready to go.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I just wanted to run through a few slides. We'll get to the interesting part on Capitalise in just a second, just to make sure everyone's familiar more with ErisX. It's great that everyone here has opened an account, and I'm hoping that trading has been successful, especially in the last few weeks, with a bit of a nice move up in the various cryptos that we list. Obviously, overnight, a bit of a change, but hey, we can't control the markets. We can just trade them. So yeah, so let me jump into just a few slides. Don't want to bore everyone, but just I think it's good for people understand where ErisX came from, if they don't already. So our heritage is really rooted much more in the traditional finance space. The foundation of the company was actually launched back in July 2010, so a very long time ago. Unfortunately, it wasn't in crypto. It was actually in traditional assets based on interest rate swaps, futures. So, very different to what we're offering today. But the company has gone through various changes in that time. And back in 2018, we actually created the ErisX brand, and moved off the old contracts into a subsidiary that, or not a subsidiary, sorry, a sister company that actually works closely with the CME. But from 2018, we really went and built out what we believe to be the right approach to crypto, in that we launched our spot market. We got a bunch of regulatory licenses, including federal regulation with the CFTC. We actually already had an exchange license to list futures, and we added our clearing license. And so through that timeline, we then launched our spot market. We launched some futures contracts, and a number of other things to try and embrace and grow our business. And obviously, one of the most recent things we did is working with Capitalize to offer our members a new kind of automated AI way of trading, outside of just the general tools that we offer on the platform. We have a bit of a who's who of investors. Everything from the liquidity providers that help us build the actual underlying markets in our books, to crypto native firms like Bitmain, who's one of the biggest miners. But you'll also see some familiar, especially US based names in there, things like the CME group, obviously. And then more recently, we've announced just a week ago that we've actually been acquired by one of our investors, the CBOE there. Obviously, we're not really here to talk about that today, but I think it's tremendous, and it will definitely be growing our business as we move forwards. We've always looked at the platform as a way to try and improve the experience, but we wanted to do that through, again, a more traditional approach. So we always looked to have spot and futures on the same platform. A lot of our focus today will be on the spot market, which is great, but we do have futures contracts listed as well on Bitcoin and Ether, and we'll be looking to grow that, especially with our acquisition by the CBOE. Here we go. Next slide coming up. So another thing is, as you think about the other venues in the US or globally that face off for crypto, those venues have always looked or tried to build much more of a vertical stack of everything in one place. We again have taken a much more traditional approach, where in the US especially, there is the exchange, which facilitates all the matching of orders, clients placing their orders, the matching, and then the process of price discovery, and then the clearing, which is where the assets end up settling, we should describe it as, and where the customer's money is held and everything like that. So we've always separated out into two components, and because of that, we're definitely the most licensed exchange and clearinghouse in the US, based on the fact that we have the licenses for the money transmitter, which is really required for the spot market. So you see there on the bottom right, we have 51 states and territories, including a bit license. But then on the left,
I'm so sorry, may I interject for one moment? We're not seeing the slides change. Perhaps you could just try and share your screen again with us.
Yes, I'm terribly sorry. Let me look for the sharing button again.
Oh, that's much better.
That's that. Okay, so apologies. I wish I'd noted that earlier. I had the control panel hidden, so I didn't see the little screen updating. I'll keep it open a little bit more. So this is the original slide I was talking about with our heritage. I'll just whiz through it again very quickly, perhaps. The next slide I shared was really about our investor base, which obviously now the CBOE is in the process of acquiring us. But you'll see a who's who and some familiar kind of badges on there. I talked briefly about the fact that we have spot and futures on the same platform. One of our propositions is always try to build that ecosystem, not segregate it. And then the slide I was just talking through is really about our design of a marketplace and a clearinghouse, and the exchange and the clearinghouse is two separate things, which is the traditional approach in the US. Okay, 51 states and territories that we've licensed in. But then what I was just about to mention is our federal regulation under the CFTC. They're the licenses that we hold that allow us to operate the futures business, which is extremely unique. And our proposition is unique in the US because we are definitely the only crypto environment where you can trade spot and futures on the same platform. Obviously, you can trade a lot of different assets on our competitor crypto venues, and you can trade futures through things like the CME through your brokers. But we're the only place where you can actually trade them both on the same platform. Quick screenshot so you can see the licenses where we do have them from the US. Obviously, everyone on the call today is probably a member. So if you're obviously in one of those states and or territories, and then obviously nothing yet in Virginia, but I'm sure we'll get there soon. Finally, before I hand over, or actually finally before we get onto the Capitalize component, I did want to talk about our spot products. We today obviously list the Bitcoin Cash, Ether, and Litecoin, as well as USDC kind of pairs. We've definitely looked to extend this over the last few months, and we have a plan to add more assets. With our recent acquisition by the CBOE, we've just actually put that on hold just for a minute as we kind of as we look to go through that acquisition period, but also to understand what assets we should be listing for our clients and things like that. All right, so just a quick set of slides. You can obviously learn more, and you can obviously follow us on our social media platforms. I will now switch screens because I want to do the intro to how you get access to Capitalize before Josh talks about as I said, the really interesting stuff, which is how to use it. So if I go to, hope this one, Google Chrome. Yep, here we go. So I've logged in. This is a purely demo account, so you shouldn't have the orange banner. We use that for our new release environment. I don't have production access. We keep a very strict kind of policy around personal trading and things like that here at ErisX. So we don't want to, interact with, our customer flow. That's not what our job is. Our job is obviously to provide the service of the exchange and the clearinghouse. But I have this as a test environment for people to see. And what I just wanted to talk through very quickly was how do you actually access Capitalize for those who aren't familiar? So you'll notice, or you should notice on your application, on your platform, the Capitalize button up here in the top right. Once you click on that, you're presented with this dialog, giving you a little bit of feedback, some links where you can click and learn more about Capitalize, and a video to watch. We won't watch that now, but you can at your leisure. Once you click OK, you're asked to enter your funding password. Now, this is maybe a unique step with ErisX. We've implemented this additional password for various features of our platform. We use it to kind of add an additional layer of security for those specific features. So funding was always the way we envisioned this password to protect a customer for, especially assets being removed or withdrawn from the platform. This way, rather than, people's security and people, who may not set up two-factor authentication, there is definitely this forced additional password that people, should not share, and ErisX doesn't have any access to. It's a way of, as I said, securing those features. Once you click on confirm here, and I don't need to save this one, the screen should change. Give it a second as it's first setting up the kind of the relationship between your Capitalize account and your ErisX account. It will eventually move you over to the Capitalize screen, which I hope you can see. I'll check the little control panel. Looks like you can. And you're asked to set up a new password, or I should say an additional password. This additional password is actually for your ability to use the mobile application of Capitalize. So it doesn't replace your ErisX password. If you use Capitalize via ErisX on your desktop, after this first sign up, you'll just be able to click on the button in the top right that you saw. Okay. But if you do want to use the Capitalize mobile application that you can download from, the Apple and Google stores, then this is the password you'll need to initially sign into it. So I'm just going to throw something in here that I will remember. There's some little consent buttons and terms and conditions. That again is about the relationship between Capitalize and ErisX. And we click continue, and I'm now on the platform. Obviously, you've got a little walkthrough guide here that you can flip through. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to let you guys read that when you've linked your Capitalize accounts. And this is where I'm going to hand over to Josh for him to give you a run through how to use Capitalize.
Ian, thank you so much for that introduction. That was great. If you could just make me the presenter from your side, and guys, welcome. Thanks so much for taking the time out to join us today. We really appreciate it. And let me just get my screen shared. And while we're going through this webinar, please feel free to open up that chat box, use it. If you have any comments or queries, questions, stuff like that, pop it on. So we're going to get into Capitalize and how it works. We're going to be running some examples, and we're going to get some results as well in a matter of a minute or two. So with Capitalize, we enable traders with regardless of coding knowledge or experience, to create and automate their trading using freestyle text, so everyday English. So the way you think about your strategy is the way we're going to type it out. So you're seeing the Capitaliseai screen at the moment. Ian, if you could just mute yourself there, I can just hear some typing in the background. Thanks. Great. So once you log into the Capitaliseai platform, on the bottom right-hand corner, you have our in-app chat here. So if you guys need some help with creating strategies, or you have issues with strategies and so on, please feel free to send us a message here. Then on the left-hand menu bar here, you can navigate anywhere and everywhere on Capitalize. And we're going to go through all of these today. But first, we'll go to the first one, and we're going to create a new strategy. So whether you're using tech indicators or price action or volume or volatility, you can create this on Capitalize. And once you create your strategy, you can then go ahead and backtest them, which is going to test them ex post. You can simulate, which is very similar to paper trading, or you can run live. So if you're running live and your conditions are met, that will trigger via your ErisX account. So let's get into it, and let's create our first strategy. And we'll do a very simple one for this. So we're just going to go ahead and let's say we're going to buy 1,000 USD worth of Bitcoin dollar. The moment you select an asset, you have a link to Trading View at the bottom. Also on this page, be sure to click the light bulb at the top right-hand corner. Here you can get some templates. So if you're looking for, perhaps you're not sure how to write it, or you just want to browse through, we've got different ones here for if market breaks support, sell it, limits, notify me, which we'll get into a little bit later, different pair correlations and different indicators and timing and so on. So you can find, you can browse through here when you're creating your strategies. Perhaps if you're wanting to know how to use a MACD crossover and you're not too sure, no problem, just come to the examples and have a look. And if you find the example you want to use, you could just use as a template. But we'll come back to that in a moment. So let's get back to our creating strategy. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to buy 1,000 USD worth of Bitcoin US dollar. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. And now we're on the exit stage. So just as the entry, you can close a position with anything you like, be it with technical indicators or volume, volatility, price action. You can even use candlestick patterns. I'm not going to get into that right now, but let's just go ahead and say close position, let's say at profit, and we'll say above, let's say 5%. Okay, and notice at the top, the timeline is highlighted on the exit strategy, so you know where you are. Feel free to move back on the timeline if need be. It's not going to erase or delete anything. Then just below the strategy, we have once or in loop. Once the strategy will enter once, it will exit once, and it'll stop. If you go in loop, every time it exits, it's going to start monitoring the markets for when the entry conditions are met. You'll notice here that I can't change it. That's because I don't have a condition in my entry. And we'll get on to the next strategy where we'll use a condition. But here, there's no condition. We're just getting into the market. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And that's really all there is to creating this strategy. So on the third page, the confirmation page, you can name the strategy. If you don't want to, we'll give it a name. We have our entry conditions. For the first one here, we're just buying, and for the exit, it's P&L +5. And then at the bottom here, you have your full trading solution. So here you can backtest. You can simulate, which, as I said, is similar to paper trading, or you can run live. So let's go ahead here and simulate the strategy. Okay, great. So now we're on the strategy page, and the strategy pages look similar. Obviously, there's a little bit of a difference between backtest and simulation. And let's just go through this page and then we'll move on to the next strategy. So here we have our, I wonder why it's waiting. Let's just quickly refresh that page. It may just be my internet connection here because it should have gotten in actually straight away. So guys, I just want to take this time to remind you that if you have any questions, queries, throw them on to the chat. Okay, so let's have a look at this page here. Okay, there it is, it's executed. So it was just my connection there. So at the top here, you can rename your page. You can see this is live. It's once, it's not looping. We got one hit, and a hit is a cycle. It's an entry and an exit. And then we've got your total P&L. Just note your total P&L is gross. It's exclusive of trading fees or anything like that. And then here you have a stop loss. So you can have a stop loss here for the entire strategy. So you could say, if this strategy gets to $200, then stop the strategy. You can also have an individual stop loss in each trade, and we'll go into that in the next strategy. And then you have your control panel. So here you can stop your strategy, you can edit. Feel free to edit while it's running. It's not going to erase any data or anything like that. It's just going to update itself with the new requirements that you condition. Here you can clone. I'm not going to use clone right now, but we're going to use that in a little while, and that's just to copy the strategy. So it does nothing to the strategy, just makes a copy of the strategy in the wizard. And here you can run live well, we can't change between once and in loop. And then here we have our strategy page. So this is our widget that's monitoring the current hit. At the moment now, you can see the current hit is working on exits. And there's only one condition. It's just close position above at profit above 5%. So we only have one widget monitoring that, but with the next strategy and the one after that, we'll have more conditions, and then you'll notice more widgets monitoring each condition. So at the moment now, P&L is minus 0.09. Then on the right-hand side here, we have our notification panel. We only have one hit on this strategy as of now, so we only have one card, and that's our entry card. And we can see it was a minute ago, the time. We can see the amount of units transacted, and we can see the average execution price of BTC USD. And then just below that, we have our hit chart. We only have one hit. It hasn't closed yet. And if you move your mouse pointer over, you can see some details like the return, the P&L. You can also see the min P&L and the max P&L that the trade has reached during the time it was active. And once this first hit closes, obviously your winning and losing ratio will start to populate. And the more and more hits that happen, the fuller the page will become. Great. So traders, let's go ahead, and before we get moving through this list, let's go ahead and create another strategy, but this time we're going to backtest it. So we're going to see the results instantaneously of what we get with this strategy. And you know, if you guys have any strategies that or any indicators you like to use, let me know about them on the chat. So for this one, let's go ahead and create a strategy with Ether. So let's go ETH USD, and then we're going to put in an indicator. So anytime you select an indicator, you can change the parameters in the tooltip above. So for this one, we'll just use the default of 14, and we'll use a bar period, let's say of 1 hour, and we'll use the close. And then we can go is below, and let's just say for this 50. And if let's do a bit of price change here. So, and if Ether USD, let's say price change, oh, let me get my syntax right there. Price change in 1 hour, let's say is above 1%, then by, let's say 1,000 USD worth. You don't have to say USD. We could just go in units of ETH USD, but for this one, we'll just keep it like that. And guys, I do see some questions coming through, which is great. I will get to them in a moment once we run this backtest. Great, so we've got 2 conditions here in our strategy, and you can use as many conditions as you want. So here, we're just looking for when the 1 hour RSI is below 50. And we're also looking for a price change of above 1% in an hour. And then we want to get into the market. So then I'm going to go ahead and click next. And with this strategy, okay, you know what? Let's use close position. Let's use a profit and loss, and then we'll do something else for the next one. So let's say a profit above, let's say 5%, or loss is, let's say 8%. Okay, and you'll notice now you can loop the strategy. That's because we have at least 1 condition in the entry. We actually have 2, but you need a minimum of 1. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. And we're at the confirmation page. And instead of simulating this one, I'm going to go ahead and backtest the strategy so we can see the results that we're going to get. Let's just have a look here at a question coming through. Sorry guys, I've just got a question, a really good question here from Gurmeet. Just asking, he's asking if grid trading is possible at the moment. Gurmeet, not yet. However, it's high on our list. It's frequently requested. You're also asking about more complex trading strategies, which you definitely can. This is just the top of the iceberg, guys, that we just started going through, but you definitely can, and I'll direct you guys to where you can see everything in a little while. So let's go ahead. Great question there, Gurmeet. So let's go ahead and look at the backtest. So most of you will note that we're using 1 minute historical data. So we're looking at the open, high, low, and close of each minute candle, and we're running your strategy through that. Which is obviously a little bit different to our simulated or our live, which is using live tick data updated multiple times per second. So let's go ahead here, and you'll see this is our beta version. It tests for 90 days, so 3 months from yesterday. We're already looking at longer backtesting times. We're looking at time adjusted. We're even looking at customizable. So you're going to be able to put in, fees and stuff like that to give you a more realistic outlook on the backtest. So let's go through this page. You can see here, had we employed a strategy like this in the past 3 months, we would have had 19 hits. And remember, that's an entry and an exit. The total P&L here would have been 21.5%. Here you can run live, and here you have your backtest. So, your control panel, and on the backtest, you can run live, you can edit the backtest, clone, which we're going to come back to in a moment, rerun, and you can even get a shareable link. So before we clone the strategy, let's quickly go through this page. So we have our entry that we put in, we have our exit. And here we have our hit chart. So this represents each trade that would have been taken in the last 90 days had you employed this strategy. And if you move your mouse pointer over one of them, like here, you can see some information, like this is hit 19, trade 19, it returned 5.05%. You had a P&L of $50, opening a trade of 1,000. And you can also see the min P&L and the max P&L that the trade reached. Now, if you want to see some more information like execution time, execution price, and so on, you can find the notification cards on the right-hand side. So this goes from the last trade all the way down to the first. So the last trade was 19, and each trade has 2 cards, an entry and an exit. The exit's always on top. So if you see hit 19 exit, that means the entry is just below that. So you can see here that this entered on October 23rd at 8 a.m. You can see the units transacted, and you can see the execution price as well for those units. And then you can see that this strategy would have taken you out of the trade roughly 2 days and 4 hours later. And you can see the execution price there. And you can, the amount of units and the execution price. And then just below that, you have your winning and losing ratio. So you can see here that a strategy like this has had 14 wins at an average each of just under $60 in the last 90 days. And it's had 5 losing trades at minus 117. Great. So something else you can do, traders, with Capitalize, is easy to take one strategy and just run it through many. So the easiest way to do it is actually to go to your control panel, and here we're going to clone the strategy. So we make a simple copy of it. Okay, and then any word that appears in bold on the wizard can be changed with a click of a mouse. So for example, ETH can be changed. Let's go to BTC USD. And let's just click there. Okay, and we've changed everything. So we can go ahead and click next. We're going to keep the exit as is. And we're going to go ahead and backtest this as well. And while we're backtesting this, we're not going to wait for the results. We're actually going to move on. Okay, Nick, Nick's asking, is Ian best to contact for tech access issues, or is there someone at Capitalize to reach out to? So Nick, this is a great question. Capitalize and ErisX work really close with regards to customer support. So if it's got to do with Capitalize, with anything with regards to a strategy, the best place to do is get hold of us here on the in-app chat and send us a message. And if you're not sure, just jump onto ErisX's customer chat and just ask them. And if it's for us, then they'll direct you to us. And if your issue needs to be solved by ErisX's customer support, we'll direct you straight to there. So great question there, Nick. Okay, so we actually got the results pretty quickly. So that's actually did even better with Bitcoin at 35.92. Let's get moving, traders. We're doing well, but we've got limited time today. So we've just created some new strategies, and we'll come back and try to create some more complex strategies if we have some time. Let's just go through this list here. So I'm going to come back to browse examples in a moment. I'm going to head on to the My Strategy page. So here, you can see all your strategies. So you can see the strategy that we created first. Remember, it was a simulation. It's running now with live tick data, and it's showing you how your trade would have performed, or is performing. In simulation, of course. And then if you go to backtest here, you can see the backtest that we've just run. So we've just run ETH USD with an RSI, and we're looking at price change, and we've run BTC USD on the same strategy. So even if you're cloning the strategy and you get to the create strategy page, you can just go to the My Strategy page here, and you'll be able to find all of your strategies. And only from here can you delete them. So if you want to delete a strategy, you could just go over to the control panel and just go delete. If you want to delete a simulation or a live strategy, you need to stop it first. And then in the stop list, you can go ahead and delete it. Great. So traders, let's move on to browse examples. It's really important to note that not all these examples come from the team here at Capitalize. We don't share user strategies or anything like that. I see these examples are pretty new. That's just come up here, but they will start to show hits in a little while. And the easiest way to work this is either go by tag. For example, if you like a certain asset or a certain indicator. I don't see any indicators here yet, so we haven't had any strategies that trigger with indicators, but it will grow. And then you can sort by everything from recently triggered to return, win ratio, featured, and hit counts. And then you can go through it. So we've got some ideas here. If you're looking for a moving average, a short crossing over a long, or if you're looking for a price drop in the last hour, there's quite a few here. And let's say you like a strategy, let's say none of these really have a lot of hits, so we'll need to give it a little bit of time. But let's say, okay, let's say we looking at this strategy here, we're looking at a stochastic RSI crossing below an RSI. So we're using two different indicators for this one. We could just go ahead and view the performance. And this will give you, my page just freezed. There we are. So this looks very much like the simulation or the live strategies. You can see it looks very similar. You can see your P&L, you can see the entry and the exit. You have the widget that's monitoring the current hits, and you can see it's working on entry. And then here you have your hit chart. You have your winning and losing ratio, and so on. So traders, if you find a strategy here that you like and you want to start implementing it, you can go ahead and just use as a template. And using as a template is going to bring the strategy straight up onto the wizard. And the only thing you'd actually need to do is just put in the amount. Actually, you don't even need to put in the amounts. The amounts there already, and we could just go ahead and run this strategy. You could change what you want as well. So we'll just go ahead there, and we can go ahead and simulate it. So there'll be strategies uploaded in the browse examples all the time, so make use of them. You can search by return and see the best performing strategies, and so on. Great. So traders, let's go ahead and create another strategy. Before we create another strategy, though, let's just go through a few things you can do on Capitalize. So you don't only have to buy or sell on Capitalize. You could just create notify me strategies. So for example, you could say notify me, let's say if BTC USD, let's say is above the current day open, and if, let's say, and if BTC USD, let's say moving average. So whenever you try to put an indicator, just try to abbreviate it. And if you're not sure, you could just type in moving average and it will come up. So then we can say, and if Bitcoin moving average, and we'll just go here. Let's just go with a short over a long, and I'll just go with a 5-minute. Crosses above, let's say BTC USD. We'll just use a longer moving average for this, so we'll just go with a 20, and I'll use the 5-minute close. And you could add as many conditions as you want there, and anytime that these conditions are met, you'll be notified of it. And for a notification strategy, you don't need an exit. It's just a notification strategy. You can go ahead and name your strategy. Again, if you don't want to, we'll give it a name, and we can just go ahead and simulate. And anytime this condition is met, you'll be notified of it. And be sure to check your notification settings on the settings, and we'll go over that in a moment as well. So you can do notify me strategies as well. You could also, with Capitalize, just automate an entry or just automate an exit. So, and guys, I see some questions coming through. Thank you for them. I'm going to get to them as soon as I can. Something else to note with those notify me strategies, or just with any strategy in general, you can download our mobile app and get notifications there as well, just as banners, or you can get them on email or on desktop. So let's just quickly go over just automating an entry or an exit. So let's say you'd be happy to get in with Bitcoin. Guys, I do want to mention that any of these strategies that we go through today, they're all for demonstration and educational purposes. There's no recommendation on these strategies. Great, so let's say that if Bitcoin, let's say, crosses below, let's say 49,000, then by, let's say 0.1 BTC USD. Okay. So let's say we go ahead with we automate a strategy like this. Maybe you're keen on an asset and you don't want to miss where you feel is a good level to get into it. And on the same token, you may not know where you want to get out. You may just want to hold, or whatever the case is. You could just automate an entry just like that. And when you click next, under the next, just skip the exit strategy. And if you run this live, we will monitor the market for the moment Bitcoin crosses below 49,000, and we will trigger an order via your ErisX account. And on the same token, you could also automate an exit. Let's say, for example, you're holding 0.1 Bitcoin. Let's say you bought it at 40,000 and you're happy to get out at 70,000. You could just go, if BTC USD crosses above 70,000, then sell. And if you click next, you could just skip the exit strategy, and that will monitor. So if you're holding a position and you're looking to hold to a certain level, this is a great way for you to automate so you don't miss that level. Great, let me see if I've got some strategies here, some questions here. Matthew's asking, are strategies performance tests on backtest and paper trading, or have they been tested on live trading? Matthew, this is a great question. I take it that you're speaking of the browse examples, and they're being tested on simulation, but the execution prices are very, very similar. So the results you're seeing in simulation, obviously it doesn't include slippage if there is, but if there's liquidity in the market, the simulation is going to be very similar to your live strategies. Great question there, Matthew. Great, guys. So let's keep going through this list here before we get to creating our next strategy. Here is our support center. So if you're looking, for keywords, just type it in, and it'll bring up some articles. If you can't find what you're looking for, again, here's the in-app chat. Send us a message. You can do a lot of things with Capitalize. Something you can do is create candlestick patterns, and I'm not going to go into it right now. We'll leave that for another webinar. But you can create candlestick patterns on Capitalize and use that to execute your entry, or sorry, use that as a condition in your entry or as a condition in your exit. So you can find everything here on our, we've also got videos here as well. So you can find a lot of resource if you're looking for something to go through with Capitalize. Great, so traders, let's go back and create one last strategy. I think we will have time for it. And we'll use a different exit. Let's use some volume in here, and let's look for some price action, some price movement in it. Let's go ahead and backtest. Let's go ahead and test. So we'll say, okay, if BTC USD, let's say 3 by 5 minute bar change is negative. Okay, so we want 3 by 5 minute bars. We want their change to be negative. Okay, and if BTC USD, and if I just write BTC USD like that, I'm referring to the current value. I could write it like that as well, price, but they're both the same thing. So if I'm referring to just BTC USD, that's referring to the current value of the asset. So we can say is below, let's say is below the moving average. So we'll use here a 20 by 5 minute close of BTC USD. Okay, so we've got negative change, it's below the 20, and let's look for a volume spike now. So we can say, okay, and if, how are we gonna say this? BTC USD, let's just use 1 minute volume, 1 minute volume, and then we can go is greater than BTC USD. Let's use a 20 minute average volume. See what we get out of this average volume. But we don't only want it to be greater, we want there to be a spike. I'm not sure how big we should go here. Okay, let's start like this, at least by 25%. So we need volume by at least 25%. There we are. So we're looking for a 1 minute volume to spike up to be at least 25% greater than the 20 minute average volume. Okay, let's leave it at that. I was going to add some volatility, maybe an average true range. Okay, let's go with this and see what we get. So then by 1,000, let's say BTC USD. Okay, or sorry, we're not buying 1,000 BTC USD. We'll just buy 1,000 USD worth of BTC USD. I'm going to go ahead and click next. And let's close this position with something else. So let's close position at trailing stop of, let's say 5%. And I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to click next and let's backtest the strategy first. And something else you can do with Capitalize is you can optimize your strategies really easy. So you could take a strategy like this, clone it, and tweak the entry or tweak the exit, and then test it, find which one is the best for you, what you find is the best. And then go ahead and simulate it for a couple of days, make sure it's performing as you think it is, as you'd like to see it, as the backtest was showing, and then you can go on from there. So while this is actually backtesting, you don't have to wait on the backtest page. This will complete in the background. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to select clone, and let's just try this with let's just try this with another exit. So let's say close position at trading stop of 5%, or let's say if, let's say 3 by 5 minute. So I'm looking at 3 by 5 minute bar. Let's say close of BTC USD is above, and I'll just use the moving average because we use that here. We said the price was below, so here we'd want the close to be above. And I'll just use the same for this. You don't have to, you can use different time frames if you want in your strategies of BTC USD. Or if the 3 by 5 minute bar close is above. Yeah, let's go ahead and test that and see what we get from there. So we'll go ahead and backtest that strategy. Something else you can do in Capitalize that we're not going to have time to go over today, but I'm sure we'll be having an advanced webinar at some stage after this, is you can trigger trades via TradingView. So this is a great way. You can use almost anything now in TradingView, whether it's drawn trend lines or horizontal lines or any indicator, any strategy. You can use that on Capitalize to trigger, but we're going to leave that for another time. If you're interested, I'm going to show you just now where you can find videos on this stuff and all of that. So while this is running here, I'm going to go ahead to my left-hand menu bar, and I'm going to go to the My Strategy page here. Okay, Jonathan's asking, how does Capitaliseai earn its income? This is a great question, Jonathan. So Capitaliseai is remunerated via the partners, via the brokerages that we partner with for the service that we offer. It's a service fee, and that's how we can keep Capitaliseai free of charge, and that is our whole. We don't want to change that. Great question there, Jonathan. Let's see some other ones. Can we put it? Okay, Gurmeet, you got a great question yet. Can we put a condition that 20 MA is trending higher? I take it you mean it's rising, and yes, you can. So you can historically define indicators. So you can define whether it's going to be rising or falling, we're not going to have time to go through it now, unfortunately, but catch me in the in-app chat here, and we'll talk about it and I'll tell you how to do it. Great question there. It's a pleasure, Jonathan. Great. So guys, let's go have a look at our back test here. We just tried it with 2 exits. Okay, so here you can see here that this strategy here with this little volume spike, and just before the volume spike happens, we're actually having negative movement. The price is below the moving average 20, and this strategy here would have had 37 hits in the last 90 days, and the P&L was around 45.88%. So you can backtest these strategies, and let's say we find the strategy, we like the strategy, let's go ahead and simulate it. I can just go ahead here on the control panel, and again just clone. It's not going to do anything to that strategy. You'll still be able to find that strategy in the in your My Strategy page, and we can just go ahead here. And I'm going to go ahead and click next, and then I'm just going to go and simulate because I want to test the strategy over the next couple of days. I want to see that it's giving results like my back test is. And as soon as these, you can see here we have 3 that we just did now, 3 conditions: the negative bar change, the negative 3 by 5 minute bar change. We've got the moving average, the price below the moving average, and we got a 1 minute spike in volume. So we actually have 2 of them at the moment, but 1 of them still out. And remember, all these conditions have to be met at the same time. So I'm just going to go ahead to the My Strategies page, and we'll just go see if that other this backtest is still actually running. It's giving us a nice sample size. It's always nice to have a backtest with a sample size of at least, within 3 months, at least over 50, to get a fair idea. But you can see this already. It it appears like it's closing very quickly after it opens. And that may be due to the second condition, so we'd have to work on it. And again, you can tweak it just by clicking the control panel and cloning the strategy. Great, guys. The last thing I want to leave you with here is, or not the last thing, second last thing actually, just on the settings here, you can change your time zone, and according to the time zone that's here in your settings, that's what time is displayed in on the trades, on the executions, and so on. You then have your security, and then you can set up your notifications here as well. Not sure why mine's not appearing. I need to check that out, but you can set up your notifications there. And then lastly, if any of you traders want to see some more or want some ideas for strategies, be sure to check out our YouTube page, Capitaliseai. We've got some videos here, and Gurmeet, if you'd rather just watch a video instead of chatting with me about how to condition an rising MA or a rising indicator, you can have a check here. There'll be some videos on that. And if not, get me in the chat. So yeah, please be sure to check out our YouTube channel and our resource center. Guys, I think that's all from me. I think I've given, or at least I've put you in the right direction so you can go ahead and create strategies. As I said in this a while ago, that this is only the tip of the iceberg. There's much more advanced things you can do with Capitalize, like candlestick patterns, like trading view alerts, like dynamic limits. And we're going to get into that very soon. So we'll be doing another advanced webinar, I'm sure, and we'll be moving on to other topics and other things you can do with Capitalize and ErisX. So, if you guys have any questions or anything you'd like me to go over, put it into the question, into the chat box right now. We have a couple of minutes left. Let's see. Oh, Jonathan, this is amazing. Okay, Jonathan's writing, this is my first time digging into a trading bot. My head is exploding in a good way. I look forward to digging in and learning on your YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That is awesome. Yeah, guys, please, check out our YouTube channel and chat with us here on the in-app chat, and go ahead and play with Capitalize, create your strategies. And even if you're a bit hesitant at first, it's understandable. Go ahead and backtest, find the strategy that works, and go ahead and simulate it, and watch the strategy play out for a couple of days to show you where you would have been in the trade, where you would have been out the trade. And then, when you're ready, go ahead and run them live. Okay, guys, I think that's all we've got lined up for today. As I say, thanks to all the guys at ErisX and Ian, and to you guys as well. Thanks so much for taking the time out. Watch out for an email in the next couple of weeks for the next webinar. And from myself, the team here at Capitalize and the team at ErisX, have a great day, a great week ahead, and have a safe weekend. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you very much, Josh.
Pleasure, Ian.